Hey everybody, Adam from Atlas Gunworks. Talk a little bit today about single stack guns. So single stack's a term for the 1911 in the original design with a mag that holds the bullets vertically, stacks them up right in a line. So single stack. The double stacks, they offset just a little bit and they hold more. So couple things that make this the iconic platform, I guess, that it still is. And platform's over 100 years old, probably still at the top of this, probably at the very top of the all-time sales list, and probably still super high. And lots of people desiring these custom built guns that are just a level above. So a little bit of buyer beware. There's plenty of guys putting these together. They're not a custom gun. They're not awesome. And there's a whole lot of guys who do really awesome guns. So we fix a lot of guns that cost, we just fixed one of these that cost more than one we would build. So this gun's in the $3,200 zone, give or take a little bit. And we just fixed one that somebody paid $4,000 for, and his bill was $1,500 here to get it as nice as this one. So buyer beware a little bit, for sure. What makes them awesome? Well, that's pretty simple. One, the triggers. So we can get any, and then I'm talking about the platform, not the individual guns at this moment. But we can get almost any sight combination. That's a big deal. The sights are usually adjustable, also nice. But the combination, the availability of the combination of sights is what makes the step one. So that helps people shoot well. I get a lot of phone calls. Guys are like, how'd you make the gun more accurate? Well, we didn't. We just changed what you saw and then made it easier to shoot. The easier to shoot part ends up being the triggers. So versus striker fire guns, or even any of the double single guns, or some of the other single action gun designs, the 1911 still probably sold today because of how good the trigger is. And the original design works really well, and you can have it be 4 pounds or 1 pound. There's a crazy variance there, or 5 pounds. And there's a couple parts that make them nice. We're big on the trigger needs to fit your hand so that your finger should be straight here. And I think I do some videos on that. But all our guns get the SVI interchangeable trigger system. So this shoe slides out. You put a different one in depending on who's shooting the gun. The trigger itself can do there's a couple different parts. Really two, I guess. First is the pull weight. So everybody gets all worked up about the pull weight. Whenever you do check the pull weight, you need to rack the gun because it changes how the disconnector interfaces. If the guns are really good, they'll be close between whether cocking it or racking it, but you should always check on a rack. This gun's 1 pound 10 ounces, nice light trigger. So everybody's going to think that trigger's great, but 1 pound 10 ounces isn't the only part. I pulled 2 pound triggers that are awful, and I pulled 2.5, 3 pound triggers that are nice. So what makes a trigger nice? Well, a little bit it's an individual. What's nice about the 1911s is the pre-travel before you engage the sear, and then after you engage the sear post-travel is adjustable. Again, we do some other videos on that. So what makes them really nice? Well, there's 2 different ways to make the triggers break. And you can have a nice version of either one of these or a bad one. But the really nice triggers, the way I like them is that they move just a little bit before they let go. We call that roll. You almost can't feel it. You really do it here. It does do it, but you can't feel it. So we call that a small roll. The action shooting guys typically prefer that kind of trigger. I prefer that kind of trigger for action shooting. The bullseye guys want a crisp, clean break and really light. So you'll see them run 1.5 pound triggers with literally you pull the thing, it's a wall, and then click. Different kind of shooting, different kind of trigger. We can set them up either way. It's not a problem. Typically, we'll send a gun out. It'll have small or medium pre-travel, have just a little bit of roll, and then small or medium post-travel. Again, all that's adjustable. The triggers to get them that light need to have somebody who knows what they're doing do them, but the guys in the business who are really good at it, can reproduce that on most frames. So the nice part about the guns is the sights and the triggers. And then we come down to lots of people like how these fit their hands and so on and so forth. But what really makes them, or the custom guns different and what you need to look for in a custom gun is not the parts list. The parts list might be an indicator if the builder's good. We see lots and lots of folks. They call here and they're like, "Oh, well, what parts do you use?" And the real answer is it doesn't matter. You could give us a pile of parts that weren't in spec, and we could probably make it. We'll make a gun out of it. It's just going to take longer. So it's the time and the attention to detail and understanding the numbers. And so that comes to the barrel fit. So the heart and soul of one of these guns is the barrel fit. And we see so many guns with bad barrel fits. And I've seen two guns from the same builder, and one time he did a great barrel fit, and the other time not so much. So the key is barrel fit. And barrels, we subscribe to the fit by numbers. So there's a number for all the clearances and the lockups, and the guns need to hit those numbers. And if they don't hit those numbers, you got to start over, or something's terribly wrong. And the barrel fit needs to be super tight when the gun's locked up. That is the key. When the gun's in full battery, the whole thing should be really tight. The slide to frame fit, everybody loves to feel, and this one is rock. It doesn't move. This one's got a couple hundred rounds on it, and it is rock tight. But that's not the part that's going to make the gun shoot knots. It's the barrel fit. Barrel manufacturers are a little less important, or a lot less important than the fit, but they help a little bit. There's certainly some guys who won tons of bullseye championships with certain barrels. Those barrel makers at those times are doing better barrels. It's 2016, just after the presidential election. We're using KKM barrels. I like the cart barrels for this kind of application just as much. It's just we have a better relationship with KKM. If we went and put them in cement blocks, those two probably shoot pretty close to the same group. The goal here is always, if the barrel will shoot an inch at 50 meters out of a cement fixture, we're going to try to do just a little more than that. So mostly we build action guns. For the action guys, they'll take a little more reliability and a little less accuracy. So, we're looking to get the guns to do an inch and a quarter, inch and a half, maybe an inch, but you're trying to just be above whatever the barrel's going to do out of a fixture. So then the next part that you look at with the single stacks in the custom guns is how much fit and finish and cool work, mill work and stuff can you do. Again, some of the guys are a lot better at doing finish work and a lot better at doing mill work. Atlas is cool in that we can give you 100% custom. I mean, literally, as long as it meets the rules for the division that you're trying to get in, we can do anything you want, and we can 3D image it before we cut it, so you can see exactly what it's going to look like. That plays in a little bit more with open guns and limited guns. We're a little more limited what we can do here. We're tri-top folks. I wouldn't own one of these guns that wasn't tri-topped. A ton of weight comes out here. I aesthetically like them too, but a lot of weight comes out when you tri-top them. So I just wouldn't personally own or shoot a gun with a round top just because it's a bunch of extra weight. Getting the slide weight to the right thing, because this part moves, is a big deal. So factory slides come in uncut at 13 ounces. The closer we get to 10, the better. 10 tends to be with these guys the magic number. If you can get around just over 10, you're doing well. And that's naked, no sights, no internals, just a slide. Here's the trick. What's changed? The guns used to almost always be 45s for 80 years maybe, or 60 years. Now 9s and 40s are popular for the action shooting. And there's a problem with the 9s and 40s. Not really with the 9s and 40s as much, but there's a couple things going on. The gun was designed to run either 38 Super or 45 ACP. They have a longer overall cartridge length. So the shorter cartridge lengths give the bullet a little more time to wander up or down before it hits the ramp or the chamber. And that can cause some feeding problems. That's less of an issue than the second issue, which is the big issue. It's called bullet stacking. So in 40 and 9mm, we can get these things to fit in the USPSA or IDPA box with 10 round mags that fit flush inside of the mag well here. And the more bullets, so basically above 8 rounds, you get there's more spaces here, more gaps, and you get more and more of what we call bullet stacking. So when the slide comes to pick this round up, there's a tremendous amount of pressure here, and the bullet starts to dive. You'll see it maybe with some of the rounds, with 8 rounds in the gun, but with 8 rounds, almost all the guns will feed well. When you go to 9 and 10, there's some modifications and some barrel fitting that needs to go on, and very few of the builders are doing this well. This is a spot where we fix a lot of guns. So there's a certain ramp angle, and the barrel has to be in a certain spot to make all of that work. And if you have that, they're pretty reliable. Not as reliable as if you had 8 rounds in there, but can we make them work 99% of the time and shoot, national championships and stuff with them? Absolutely. What you've got to realize when you're running 9 or 10 rounds in these mags is that you're running everything at the limit. So if your mag springs are tired, that's going to allow the bullets to dive a little more. If your recoil spring's tired, you're going to get a little less oomph when the slide comes over there and there's 9 or 10 in there, that will dive a little bit and hit the ramp. The first 2 bullets are going to hit the ramp, even if the rest of them are pointed at the chamber. So there's some other tricks to do. There's some companies making mag catches that sit the mag a little higher. If you're building a gun fresh, it's nice to use one of those. Gets you everything a little higher in the feed ramp situation. Gets you a little better reliability on that front. The really good builders aren't going to have a problem putting those together, but on 9mm and 40, there are lots of guys who haven't done tons of them and don't understand the dimensions there, and those can be a problem. So if you're in the market for a custom high-end 1911 in 40 or 9mm, make sure it's got a ramped barrel. Make sure you talk to the guys and really just know that they got a lot of guns out there, and it helps that the guns are winning. We've got I can't tell you how many single stack guns are out there, and I get emails constantly. Folks I won the local club match, or I won the regional. Zach, our team shooter, won Area 7 in 2016 with one of our single stack guns. And the other thing you got to watch when you're ordering a custom gun is make sure that the builders build them all the same. So Zach won Area 7 shooting a single stack gun that we built. That was a gun we built that just for actually for a photo shoot, and it was an extra gun. It wasn't any different. You could have called and bought that gun if you got here before Zach. We didn't build Zach a special gun. There's a lot of the builders that for the team guys or the pros, they're getting a gun that's got a lot more detail into it. When you build a gun like this, it's a man hours. Can we build you a less expensive gun? Is it possible? Yes. What you're paying for here is the man hours. Limited guns and single stack guns have got closing in on 20 man hours, and it's all the details. And the details are what make these things last forever and run beautifully and be worth something and be a real built by craftsmen. And we spend a lot of time talking on the phone, and I tell everybody, I'm not a gunsmith. If you sent me a Remington 870, I don't know anything about it. I don't really care. We build 1911 and 2011 guns, and that's it. And someday we might do something different or add to that line, but today that's what we do, and we're really good at one thing. And that allows us to be a little more efficient, try to keep the costs down, and deliver perfect products. And that's kind of what we're here about at Atlas Gunworks, is perfect products. So whether it's a carry gun or a USPSA gun, ask some good questions to the builders, and really it's about probably how many have they done and where folks are having success running their stuff, and then you gotta use the bullshit meter a little bit to see if you're gonna get the same thing they are. But that's the trick to the single stack guns, and I hope to see you guys on the range soon. Oh.